competition, 6 events. One more event remains for these teams at the 2015 Meridian Regional at Baruch Super Arena. I'm Chase Ingerman. Alongside with me is Mads Jacobson, as we have Amanda Krenz and Rory McKernan with us throughout the event, as your top 10 teams after 6 events are making their way onto the competition floor for the 7th and final time to determine who will be going to the Reebok CrossFit Games. Standings after 6 events, your top 5 have moved themselves, I wouldn't say out of reach, but moved themselves in a solid position. Yas on top. Their lead has dropped just a couple points, but they still maintain that top spot. Fabriken moving in 5th, Turicum, Virtuosity, and Solid rounding out your total 5. But look out for the Dutch and Nordic sitting in 6th and 7th. Who knows, especially with these handstand push-ups.
Absolutely, these handstand push-ups may just put a little bit of a damper on the party for some of these teams. And if the Dutch and Nordic can battle it out, I mean, could be a top 6 finish. I mean, that could change for them too.
We haven't seen any team finish this event here at the Meridian Regional. In fact, only 3 teams in the world has finished team event number 7. Here is your event. Hold on to your seats. We're starting 30-calorie row, 30 strict handstand push-ups, toes to bar, and then that axle bar lunge across the floor. Partner holds in between, so the athletes cannot work without someone holding for them.
10 seconds. Stand by.
Heat number 3 on their way. One event stands between 5 teams in Carson, California. Your top teams will be in the center lanes. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are your top 5 after 6 events. And as the first athlete will start on a 30-calorie row, they can choose any order they want, Mads. But when this workout first came out, 30 strict handstand push-ups for every single team member, and that's where you'll see this event won or lost.
Absolutely. I mean, we even talked to Yas, and they said that they were a bit hesitant, I'd put it that way, with the strict handstand push-ups. Not the strongest suit. However, they have been doing really, really well all weekend, so I mean, I expect to see a good performance. Their definition of not so comfortable with handstand push-ups may be different than other teams.
Yeah, sitting in that first place position, mathematically can't fall out of the top 5, so that's got to be a good feeling coming in. Almost a little bit of a victory lap from a team who's competed at the highest level, one of the most dominating performances we've seen across the regional. So Yas in your lane number 5. But we have teams churning around that 4, 5, 6, 7 position as first athletes are off the rower. They must hold that deadlift. The top of the bar, 315 for men, 225 for women. And what's important here is that the rowers can only row as long as that bar is off the ground.
Exactly. And I mean, it is taxing for the grip. It absolutely is. And it just goes to tell you that one of the important things to talk about as a team is that you want to make sure the next guy on the rower hauls ass. Because, I mean, he's exhausting the grip, and we've got toes to bar a little bit later. Want to make sure you've got something left in the grip capacity department.
Turicum in lane number 7, they are in the yellow and black. They're one of very few teams that actually sent a female out first.
And I mean, it may be a smart move. They've talked about who works better with each other when it comes to the periods of time they want to be on the wall for the handstand push-ups, and the period of time they want to be in the hang position for the toes to bar as well. So I mean, this is all a part of the strategy. They checked it out at home, and there is no recipe for success beyond transition communication and a well-balanced team effort.
That's what's been so interesting about this event, is there's so many different ways you can arrange your team, set themselves up, who goes when. There's no designated order. The first athletes are in a little bit more of a unique position in the middle 4, is that the first athlete, they do not have to wait on someone to hold for them to do their repetitions. So the 30-calorie row, strict handstand push-up, toe to bar, but they do have to hold for the athletes behind them.
Exactly. And also with the last athlete doesn't have to hold for somebody else. They just have to run their way right through the event.
Yas actually one of the last teams to the rig. They're in the blue, lane number 5, to these strict handstand push-ups.
And if it was a challenge for the Yas team, I'm pretty sure this wasn't the individual they thought it would be a challenge for. He's making short work of his handstand push-ups, short rests, fast reps, looking good.
All teams' first athlete onto the rig, working their way through 30 strict handstand push-ups. They just need to stay ahead of the rower, and that's where we've seen the bottleneck. After 2 weeks, the bottleneck is on these handstand push-ups. Can they get them done before the rower is off their 30-calorie row? But at the same time, can that person who's holding the bar hang on for that amount of time?
But exactly, and I mean, that's when it's so important that you've gone through this in practice. However, that is a deceptive kind of confidence coming in with, just because of the fact that there is a fatigue factor that you can't emulate in practice. Not at all.
That's the 4-minute mark as all teams working through strict handstand push-ups. Amanda Krenz got to talk with our overall leader, CrossFit Yas.
And I tell you what, they are an example of a team that came here to just have a good time. They've been very relaxed throughout the whole competition, probably because nobody knew who they were, so there were no expectations. They basically just all work out together at the same box. They had good open results, and they thought, hey, why not throw a team together? And here they are. But one thing to watch out for are these handstand push-ups. They know it's a weakness of theirs. They don't expect to finish this event. They say one of their girls just got her first strict handstand push-up a month ago. So this event going to be a challenge. We'll see if it's a big enough challenge to knock them out of the race. Probably not going to happen, though, guys.
Well, they can rest a little bit on the laurels, considering the lead that they're in right now. They are going to go to the games. They are going to go to Carson and represent the Meridian Regional. But as a team, how do you carry an athlete like that?
So we are 5 minutes in, 15 minutes left before the 20-minute cap. Again, no team at the Meridian Regional has finished this event. CrossFit Yas in lane number 7, sending out their first female for the second positioning. She's definitely not the one that has issues with these handstand push-ups.
Oh, God, no. Look at her go. I mean, the Yas team has just shown all weekend how balanced they are and the depth in the team as well. Not one or two single individuals just kind of carrying the team through this. It's everybody on the team.
Yeah, showing that in especially all those team-intensive events, especially winning the first 3 coming in to this weekend. 6 minutes in, and only, like we said earlier, only 3 teams finished. NorCal CrossFit has the event record. OPEX Red out of the South, and Schwartz CrossFit Melbourne out of the Pacific. 3 teams out of the hundreds that have attacked this event. This is definitely one that getting people pretty good.
Absolutely, and it's just once again kind of goes to show the genius of the programming and how it's the simplest movements, so to speak, that will get in the way of people. It's the strict handstand push-ups. It's not the heavy snatch. We saw that yesterday. Strict handstand push-ups. It's a handstand walk. Simple gymnastic movements can really be a rock in the machinery.
I think you forgot the word evil before genius.
Well, this is true.
Comparing that programming for this particular event.
It depends on who you are. If you're an athlete, it's evil. If you're watching it, it's just interesting.
The Dutch in lane number 2 on the far left side of your screen has the first athlete onto toes to bar. JST Black on the far right in lane 10 have their athlete onto the bar. And what's important to see is who is left to go for these teams. So your leaders are actually going to be determined more on who is on the rower, who is still left on the starting mat.
It's just like you're saying, it's not necessarily about who is the first team to make it onto the toes to bar or the overhead walk. Is who do you fill up with? Where's your bottleneck? Where's your weakest card? Is it going to be at the end if you're not anticipating to be the last or to go all the way anyways? Do you play into that, or do you just kind of go, we're going to do our best to try to finish this off?
CrossFit Yas, first athlete onto toes to bar. Once he is finished, he will have to wait and hang for athlete number 2. We're slowly creeping up to that 8-minute mark. If we're talking event record, it was set by NorCal last weekend in the California Regional. 18:54 was their time. Their last athlete was off the rower at the 9-minute and 5-second mark. So the top left-hand corner of your screen, that is the running clock that we have. So we are just at 8:05, so 1 minute between a possible event record split time. NorCal CrossFit obviously getting off at 9:05.
And we talked about NorCal CrossFit a couple of times, and it's once again the balance and the depth of that team. They didn't have to worry about anybody getting stuck anywhere. It was all about making good reps.
As Yas was one of the later first athletes to the Tosa bar, actually moved himself having their second athlete onto Tosa bar, so sending their girl second, crushing those handstand push-ups.
Exactly, and in lane number 10, we've got JST Black as well, also with the female athlete on the bar as the second athlete on the Tosa bar. May have turned out just to be a very, very good concept for these teams.
Nine minutes in, past that event record split set by NorCal CrossFit. No surprises, that was just a mind-blowing performance of what they did in Del Mar last weekend. CrossFit Yas, your overall leaders after 6 events. Knowing they have to get out really quickly, especially if they have one athlete that just got their first strict handstand push-up in the warm-up area. So they got to give them enough time to maybe get as far as they can. It's going to be pretty hard to finish this event if you don't have handstand push-ups.
It's going to be really, really hard, but what you want to do then is you want to get all the other athletes as far as they possibly can, and then give her time. And at the same time, they must have talked about it before that it doesn't really matter.
Nordic in lane number 1 will have their first athlete, along with Yas, onto the overhead lunges at the halfway point, 10 minutes in. So their first athlete's doing very well.
And that's Numisner Katarinason right now working for CrossFit Nordic, trying to catch up with CrossFit Yas. Now Numisner Katarinason is a veteran of the game. He's been an individual athlete going to the games. He's competed at the invitationals. He's been to regionals both as a team athlete and as an individual athlete. So good strategy by Nordic, but Yas just moving like a train, just methodically going through these, making sure not to stress, not getting any no reps.
Yas taking a short break, somewhat inconsequential as these athletes just need to finish and get out of the way. But it's what the athletes are doing on the rig and what athletes have yet to get onto the rower as we approach the 11-minute mark. You see the athlete from Yas looking back, understanding is that he just needs to not slow people down behind him, so he can take as much rest as he needs as long as he doesn't get in the way.
But exactly. I mean, that's just smart by him. It's the last workout. Let's not get injured. Let's not, tax ourselves any more than we have to, as long as I'm not in anybody's way. Smart thinking.
And as we look at the rowers, we have final athletes on the row. We have one athlete sitting back to the starting mat, so we'll see which teams are in the lead. As we have people sitting on the rower actually doing absolutely nothing, it means they are waiting for that athlete who's on the handstand push-ups. So we have a few teams. Turkurm in lane 7 in the yellow shirt. All the way in lane 10, JST Black. They are done waiting on that athlete to move forward so they can navigate and get their way to the rig and start their strict handstand push-ups.
And as we say that, CrossFit Nordic in lane number 1 has Simon Adrian Nybacka, picks up the barbell and he starts his overhead walk right there.
Nordic in lane number 1 coming into this final event in 7th place. They were 9th to start the morning. They're only 7 points out of 6th, but a further 45 points out of 5th. So we'll have to see how Fabriken holds up. Fabriken holding on to that 5th place position.
And all these teams are going to do the best they can. Even though we're not necessarily talking about going to the games for some of these teams, they want to have a good finish. They've got people back in the boxes watching them. They've got people who've traveled a long way to get here to Belarus Super Arena. to cheer him on, and of course they're gonna want to give these people a good experience. And going into next year, you want the people to want to come on to the next year's team as well. So inspire and aspire.
2 athletes done for Nordic all the way in left side lane at number 1 as we pass the 13-minute mark. Reykjavik in lane 6 as their first athlete working across the floor on his overhead walking lunges.
And for Reykjavik has got their male athlete about to finish off his overhead walks as well. Now there's nobody behind him waiting for the overhead walk, so he doesn't have to necessarily stress that process right now. Gets good reps, he rolls it back, and now that's the end of his regional experience.
Nordic in lane number 1, early leaders for this event number 7 as we approach the 14-minute mark, 6 minutes remaining.
And we see Patricia Strenius for the Nordic team on the handstand push-ups. At the same time as she's trying to round that off, Jenny Jacobson waiting on the bar so that Patricia Strenius can continue with her toes to bar and Jenny can do the hang.
Crosses solid in lane at number 4, second athlete onto the lunges. Yas just to the right of them. Second athlete onto her overhead lunges. We have 2 teams working their way down to put 2 members onto this finishing pad as Nordic already has 2.
And that's Rickard Lanner for CrossFit Solid right there, and he's a games veteran from the Tegan team last year. He's very, very strong. He does put it down, but same thing there. Nobody's waiting to grab the bar and go for the overhead walk, so that's smart. One of the things to remember on the strict handstand push-ups is that once the handstand push-up disappears, it is gone. So you want to make sure you never hit the red. You want to be right before that so you can kind of shake it out and get another rep in.
5 minutes remaining for team event number 7, the final event of the 2015 Meridian Regional for the teams. Lane number 2, the Dutch has their second athlete onto the finishing mat just as Solid closes right behind them.
And in our early leaders in lane number 1, CrossFit Nordic seem to have hit a bit of a wall or a bit of a road bump right there.
4 more handstand push-ups remaining for athlete number 5 with their final athlete waiting on the rower.
That's Hugo Rosas. Used to be a hockey player, famous blogger in Sweden, and a very good athlete. Now he has not even done CrossFit for a year, and here he is at the regionals. An amazing career ahead of him. I'm looking forward to see how he does. So 1 more rep for the Nordic team before they can send Patricia Strenius onto the toes to bar. No.
Your top team still in lane number 5, struggling a bit on the handstand push-ups with their 5th athlete. And it's CrossFit Solid in lane 4, sending their 3rd athlete across the floor to the finishing mat.
And that's Helena Falk. Now, she is a seasoned competitor. We saw her yesterday doing really good on the run. And here she is, just anchoring in the 3rd walk for CrossFit Solid.
Scores of teams making their way across the competition floor. Some putting their first athlete onto the finishing mat. Lane 8 and lane 9, Butcherslav and Idle. Butcherslav having that rough finish in team event number 6, dropping them from 6th place all the way down to 10th as Solid finishes up. So they'll have 3 athletes on the mat. First team to do so.
That's a stellar effort by Helena Falk. She was called back because she needs to go lunge across the line and just kind of shows her strength. She doesn't even drop the bar, just takes a step back and lunges right the way to finish.
2 minutes and 30 seconds left before team event number 7 is done. We have a 20-minute time cap. CrossFit Nordic, who is your early leaders after the first 2 athletes, fell off a little bit because athlete number 5 is struggling with their handstand push-ups, so they're trying to keep pace with Solid.
And there's been a lot of grip already in this workout, so stringing together toes to bars is not necessarily as easy as it is in the gym.
CrossFit Yas just to the right of Solid. Solid in the pink and gray. Yas with the blue and black.
And CrossFit Solid are probably going to be able to, well, with a little bit of luck, get Alexander Elebro onto his overhead walks as well. Stellar effort here by CrossFit Solid.
90 seconds remaining in team event number 7. As we are getting set to crown 5 teams from the Meridian Regional who will represent this regional at the 2015 Reebok CrossFit Games. Solid, an early leader. 3 athletes on the mat, but the Dutch in lane number 2 making their way down the floor. CrossFit Solid sitting in lane number 4, early leaders, trying to hold on with 60 seconds remaining. Solid was coming in, holding on to a second place position with 504 points.
And we're just seeing people lunge everywhere, but CrossFit Solid right now is the story. Alexander Elebro grabs the bar, grabs the axle bar as it is, pops it overhead, and goes for his overhead lunges. Now that is a determined young man. I've seen him in practice a lot of times, and he's going to want to floor this. He just needs to remember to keep that midline tight and then go. Long paces.
25 seconds remaining for Team Solid. If they can put 4 athletes on the finishing mat, their score will be counted by the athletes onto the rig to see how many toes to bar they can finish before we reach that 20-minute cap. 10 seconds remaining. Solid 1 step away from getting their 4th athlete onto the finishing mat.
Amazing effort here by CrossFit Solid in the end of this heat. Impressive to see Alexander Elebro get on there, get on the axle bar, knowing he's got 60 seconds to go, and then absolutely tear his way through that overhead walk. As
we were coming into team event number 7, there was 5 teams atop the leaderboard in a comfortable position. And as we saw over the last 20 minutes, each team did exactly what they needed to do to stay in the top 5.
Absolutely. They started out here by getting 2 male athletes out there. Felix Ledin did very good on his handstand, his strict handstand push-ups. After that, popped the axle bar overhead, went for the overhead lunges. He's a strong guy. He may have just been a little bit surprised by the fatigue in the shoulders. Rickard Lander, same thing. Strong guy with games experience as a teams athlete last year. Helena Falk, now that was an impressive overhead walk by her. Very, very steady. Alexander Elebro was the last one to get out there, get on the axle bar. And here he is, finishing off a very fast overhead walk.
As Team Solid finished team event number 7 with a first place finish, good enough to put them and keep them in 2nd overall. So CrossFit Solid will be making their way to the 2015 Reebok CrossFit Games, and they're down with Amanda Krentz.
Congratulations, first of all. What was your mindset coming into this event today?
This particular event, just to play cool. We knew we had a really good shot at qualifying for the games. We didn't have to outdo ourselves, but we actually did.
Well, that's great. Now, overall, how did this weekend go for you? Are you guys happy with your performances?
Absolutely. Well, we came here to qualify for the games, which we did. We're exhilarated. The first day went good. Everybody was a little tense before the first event. We have some rookies in the team. They did a great job. So both 2 events did well. The running, the wall balls caught us a bit off guard. Didn't go as well, but we recuperated good. The snatch went perfect. The handstand walk too, and this day has been amazing. I think a second than the first place. So we're so happy.
Congratulations and good luck at the game.
Thank you.
Congratulations to CrossFit Solid, formerly Tegan. New members moving into this affiliate as we have CrossFit Solid holding on to a 2nd place overall position. Let's talk CrossFit Yas. CrossFit Yas coming out of the Africa region. I would say doesn't always get the respect that maybe they deserve at the CrossFit Games level, but now they're coming in as a combined regional with Europe and sitting in first place in dominating fashion. That speaks volumes for them.
Absolutely. I think the Meridian regional needs to realize that there's a new gun in town, and it's not just any gun. It's the African region is sending up some very competent, very capable athletes, and we're looking forward to seeing this team at the games. I think they've got a good shot at an upset.